Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar hosted by Accienta, Autodesk, BlackSmithSoft, and Wakecap. We're glad that you're here, and without further ado, let's start our presentation. You're here today to hear about digital transformation in the energy industry. So thanks for joining. And for today's key topic, I want to introduce Accienta. Who is Accienta? Autodesk Construction Cloud, BlackSmithSoft team and their AWP approach, Wakecap and their safety and manpower real-time monitoring, and then we'll go through a brief conclusion and Q&A. So first, what's most important is talking a little bit about our previous participation at ADIPEC 2022. We had a booth at the Digitalization in Energy because in last year's event, it was really important to talk about digital transformation for the energy industry. And the same companies that you see here today, we collaborated and had a booth at the event, also with HTC and their Vive sets for showcasing virtual reality. It was really important because nowadays everyone is talking about digital transformation, right, in all industries. But where can we start and how can we really leverage the technologies that are available, the different teams, and make sure that we are impacting the project's bottom line? So today we have a very knowledgeable team here with us. We have to take advantage of this great opportunity. We have Nabil from Autodesk. We have Che from BlackSmithSoft and Phil from Wakecap. So please give them a warm welcome. And let's start with a little bit about Accienta. So who is Accienta, right? We like to call ourselves digital transformation enablers. We help companies understand where in their operational processes they can apply technology, how to apply that technology. And of course, we are an Autodesk Gold partner. That means that we can sell software, but also provide supporting services to help clients utilize the technology in the best possible way. We are also Smartsheet partners, and we have a diverse team, Dubai-based, and supporting different languages. It's very important to us to be certified by our partners like Autodesk. These are just some examples of our certifications. You can go online and find those through Partner Finder, more information about success stories, etc. Some existing clients in the regions are the ones that you see here. Of course, we have many more, but just to give you an idea, the type of industry we work in, construction, energy, of course, like with the topic we're discussing today, and more. Also, something that is super important to us when we help companies identify their technology, people, and processes needs is to get their feedback. Because it's not the same to say, yes, we are a great company than to have clients say it for us. So we really appreciate our key clients for always sharing good and positive feedback with others. So going back now to the digital transformation concept, we talk about this interaction between key people, key processes, and key technology. And we know we need to discover key pain points to identify where we can have quick gains. This depends on key information and workflows and key stakeholders that need to be involved in those workflows, where we can map the company's current state, or ASIS, and the company's future state, or to be. Of course, digital transformation is a disruption to day-to-day operations, and it's very important to have the correct mindset for it to succeed. So we always tell clients, you can't just think that external consultants will come and do the implementation. We need to work as a team in addressing the key pain points, and all levels of the organization should be involved, all the way from executives to key admins, star users, and more. When it comes to change, we shouldn't be afraid of change and implementing new technologies in our organizations. It's really a simple process if you establish it correctly and manage it internally. So first, we go through a very general discovery and kickoff where we can understand what are those workflows that we should prioritize and to start using the technology there. Then we do a simple project setup and configuration so the client can start to see those functionality in action. And this is a loop. After this, you can continue with the training and go live. And last but not least, the follow-up and support. Of course, these steps can be interchanged as needed with client understanding and lessons learned that we can improve the operations. Now, why digital transformation in construction and in energy and all these different industries? Well, historically speaking, site and office have been disconnected. So there is information, maybe paper-based, maybe in different applications, but not all the stakeholders have visibility of what's going on in the site. So the objective is to connect the different sites and the office and improve productivity and get efficiency gains of time that is usually spent trying to find the right information or the right stakeholders or accountability. Now, another benefit of using cloud field management and this type of technologies is that you can impact your project at an earlier stage when your costs and different changes will be will have less impact on that cost versus at a later time in the project when any design change will be very expensive and any mistake will just add up to the cost of the project. So now talking about Autodesk Construction Cloud, because this is really one of the core elements we want to showcase today. Autodesk Construction Cloud is the collaboration platform of today and of the future. Here you can see the different modules that are part of Construction Cloud, from BIM, Collaborate, Takeoff, Build, and of course the main layer, which is the document management or docs component. And we'll discuss how the different applications from BlackSmithSoft, from Wakecap, from Autodesk, and our services at Accienta can help you leverage all these different functionalities and take them even further. So when we talk about a common data environment, or this place where we share information and have different stakeholders viewing the documents, commenting the documents, maybe changing statuses and different things, this is the hub. But as we know, many things started from the design with the authoring tools that we know and love, that of course we can also provide. And here you have all this information coming to Autodesk Construction Cloud. Now, what you can do with that data and how you improve processes, etc., we'll hear more from Che, especially with the AWP approach, so pay a lot of attention to that. And then later at the construction stage, of course, you can also utilize it and for operations. So this is just a very quick slide to show you, because an image can say more than words, what we mean by authoring. You are modeling, you are developing your designs, and then you have a hub where you can collaborate. You can do things like clash detection with BIM Collaborate Pro. You can assign issues to certain individuals so they fix their designs. And going to construction with Autodesk Build, with forms, with issues, with different functionality that is live on site, can be using tablets, in phones, so it's mobile friendly. And of course, this is all hosted in the cloud, so it can be accessed anywhere, anytime. This is just a quick list of some of the viewable 2D and 3D file formats. As you can see, there is much more beyond just Autodesk software. There is also Office file formats that are commonly used: PDF, Excel, Doc, PowerPoint, etc. So without further ado, I'd like to share this presentation now with Nabil. He'll continue to show us some use cases for the energy industry.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you very much. I'm gonna start sharing my screen. And I will give you a bit of what it means in terms of product and what we can do with Autodesk software on this industry sector. So we'll review some workflows as much as we can. So from design to handover. So a lot of different workflows, which are mainly supported by the AEC collection. So you can see here, it's a bundle of different products, around 30 different products, which are heavily used in your sector. And we'll see that in depth quickly. But just remember that any subscriber to the AEC collection got access to docs, which is the repository for the data, and we will discuss it later. There is also an additional product, especially for equipment design and aggregating those equipment and simplify them into those workflows we'll discuss. It's Inventor. So here, an example, we bring the GIS data from InfraWorks to locate a future utility. So let's say a pumping station, and we can use Revit, which is a parametric BIM, vertical product, to quickly design the overall structure. And then if you are in the oil and gas industry, you are most likely familiar with PNIDs. And this is AutoCAD Plant 3D, and you can basically use the PNID module to design any schematic process, and it saves you at least 70% your time, because everything is designed a way to speed up the schematic tasks. And you are not drawing lines, you are basically building a database that you will reuse later for the 3D piping, equipment, inline elements routing. So for the equipment themselves, you know, it's an AutoCAD vertical, AutoCAD plant, and you can basically on the go create any type of equipment which needs to be connected later. And I mentioned Inventor. You can use Inventor, especially when you receive heavy equipment from suppliers, because you don't need all the level of detail. You might need only the external envelope and the connection with the pipe specifications. So as soon as you got your equipment design in AutoCAD Plant, you can connect those equipment together to pipelines or equipment to equipment. And there is no complexity here for anyone familiar with AutoCAD. You just do connection to nozzles. You have the pipe specification following the tool palette. So as soon as you change the pipe specification, the tool palette will align, and you can interact with dynamic elements like dynamic inline elements like a valve directly from the property palette that you see on the left here. So there is no complexity here. It's just a matter of making sure that all the connections are available and all the specifications are ready to be used in your catalog. So as soon as the routing is done, you can basically extract automatically pipe prefabrication drawings, isometrics, with different styles. You can even customize those styles, and you can also process general arrangement if you want to locate equipment, for example, and the dimensioning and the positioning of those together. And you can extract the bill of material with 2 clicks from the viewport, and you can even customize that. As soon as everything is done, you can federate models in Navisworks Manage, part of the AEC collection. And you can do model-to-model coordination and assign clashes, hard clashes to the designated people. You can also use tolerance feature to address negligible clashes like clearance for equipment, logistic, or others. So you can also use the platform. You can start to use ABC, Autodesk BIM Collaborate, to do model-to-model coordination in the cloud from Docs. So that's why Docs is also part of the AC collection, because with ABC, Autodesk BIM Collaborate, you can basically democratize the coordination steps so that everybody involved in the model creation, every time they log in on the morning, they get a list of issues which are basically extracted automatically from the ABC, Autodesk BIM Collaborate. You can also use InfraWorks again to do a marketing video of the final units when it's finished for marketing purpose or for a website, or if you want to present the project. You can also compute virtual reality. We have multiple partners, Unity, Unreal. We have technologies. We acquired also recently technologies to use such immersive experience in a plant project, so that you can do many things. We see customers using virtual reality for onboardings, for safety trainings, to assess a specific equipment, for example. And I apologize if the video is a bit pixelized somehow. Anyway, if you want also from the AEC collection, you have access to 3ds Max. So if you want to do a more realistic rendering, as soon as the project is finished, so the modeling phase is done, you can basically use 3ds Max to do a more realistic rendering, video or photos, so that you can use it again for multiple purpose, including marketing or website or whatever. And this is a photo of some projects which are rendered in 3ds Max. So you see the AEC collection is is great in terms of interoperability. I couldn't spend time on many other products, especially the structure part of a plant project, because you can start the structure in AutoCAD Plant and fine-tune it in Advanced Skill, which is great. And then you can come back with external references into AutoCAD Plant. And other products can be used again, like Civil 3D, robot structural analysis to assess the structure. And I mentioned those products like 3ds Max, Navisworks Manage, and InfraWorks because they can aggregate model together for different purposes. And Navisworks is the coordination tool on desktop. Everything can be stored in docs. You can collaborate and work share in real time between users in Civil 3D, Revit, and Plant 3D. You can import your schedule in Navisworks Manage, and we have some visual scripting enabled product like Civil 3D, Revit, Advanced Skill, and Robot through Dynamo. Autodesk Build for construction management can be used, of course, and we will see it in details, and everything is built on Forge. And of course, as it's a project construction management, you can also import your schedule into Build from Microsoft Project or Primavera P6. So having a diversity of a range of products like that in the AEC collection allows you to use the right solution when required, and you can unify the access of any metadata composed by what you've done in those products in docs and later in Build and other systems we'll discuss like BlackSmithSoft and Wakecap. A quick focus on Recap for reality capture because it's heavily used in the oil and gas industry nowadays, and you can do a lot of different workflows. And Recap democratize the site capture. So you can aggregate any file format, any point cloud format, as well as photos. You can aggregate photos together, and Recap will create a mesh. So we have multiple, use case, especially on brownfield, like revamping project, where you can superimpose model together. So like the existing conditioning plus what's going to happen soon, and you can directly see the impact on what needs to be modified, cut, welded, moved for logistic. So it brings a lot of anticipation power, especially for preparing the activity on site. Main purpose of Autodesk Recap is to have the as-built conditioning. This is an example of the level of detail you can reach using Autodesk Recap. It's a liquefied gas terminal in North Africa here, and you see that you can navigate it smoothly without having a huge graphic card power, because Recap also optimizes the graphical experience. You can also compute, sorry, you need to know that you can compute also virtual reality with, existing conditioning using point clouds. And this is heavily used in dangerous areas, in oil and gas or in nuclear where nobody can go. So we'll send robot, they will do the capture, and then you can do multiple iterations. You can take photos, you can take a dimension or iterate on a specific part of the existing unit. And you can even collaborate with multiple stakeholders on an immersive experience. So having two people in different locations, having the same immersive experience, having the ability to look at the same thing and discuss in real time brings a lot of new workflows in the industry. Scan to Beam also is one last workflows among others I wanted to share today. It's basically starting from the point cloud or the photogrammetry and having a BIM intelligent model. So at the moment, it's semi-automatic process. It works well with add-ons that you install on top of AutoCAD Plant or Revit. And then these add-ons has algorithm which will map the recognition of the elements to catalogs mainly. So it works well with all the pipes, fittings and pipes itself, and also all the structure members. So you need to remind that. So I finished with some of the Autodesk tools, but now we go to ACC for Autodesk Construction Platform, because this is where you will bring all the data you've aggregated to do interesting workflow, especially to connect the field to the offices, to the different offices like engineering, because as Carolina mentioned, this is the way to go now to remove that silo between field and the office. And construction today has still a lot of challenges that are listed here. So less margin, tight schedules, different information from different location, not always synchronized, uncertainty of the market, labor shortage. We have less and less competence, and also distributed teams, which is the main challenge, because in an oil and gas or petrochemical project, you always have to deal with a lot of stakeholders doing multiple things, creating a lot of documents, and collaboration in the legacy environment was always a challenge. So people from any role had to interact with other stakeholders on a project, and sometimes they have to directly use the phone or their personal communication tools or a platform to share large files. And IT organization used to try to secure all of this together. So that's why at Autodesk we've thought about a CD for common data environment, which is dynamic, and you will see some of the elements in there. Autodesk has more than 40 years experience with the engineering, so we designed the ideal platform for all these people, which has some characteristic like it needs to be unified, secured, easy to access and administrate. You need to trust on the data coming from the platform. The platform needs to be intuitive, so to address exactly the workflow corresponding to your role. It has to be real-time collaborative and place the BIM data at the center of any decision. The platform has to be flexible and connectable, and this is a real game changer. We'll see with Autodesk Construction Cloud, because the platform can be scalable and also connectable to any other systems. So this is Autodesk Construction Cloud. So from design to operation, you can use it, and it has multiple modules that Carolina mentioned, like document management, which has smart features like versioning, revisioning, backups, which are fully automatic. So you created a common data environment, and it has some meaningful integrations like Office 365 and interesting workflows like reviews, approval, especially when document needs to move from one hand to another one. So Carolina mentioned some file format. Here, it's an updated list where you can see more format, and we continue to add external file format to the platform. Collaboration is also a feature of the platform through Autodesk BIM Collaborate and BIM Collaborate Pro to democratize the coordination phases from any location. It has a takeoff module for quantification, so you can quantify 2D, 3D data, and it's dynamic because it can be linked to build, especially the cost management. And build is the most furnished module in ACC. And we will see how you can drive digital transformation using Autodesk Build, especially on the commissioning period, which is where 25% of the budget cost is burned. So I mentioned the platform is connectable and accessible. You can extract at any time using data connector information to Power BI, and you will see some use cases. And the platform extends also its connectivity through ACC Connect, so you can integrate other systems as you wish. And some important metrics and facts here. So it's available on desktop through iOS or Windows. You can also use on different terminals like mobile, tablet, smartphones, on Android as well. And it has unlimited storage and unlimited number of projects in the ACC platform. So having a mobile access is always great, especially when you need to be connected to important operations happening on the field. You can have a color code to to highlight the importance. So Construction Cloud is a set of modules like BIM, Collaborate, Takeoff, and Build, which will be connected to Docs, part of the AEC collection, and Docs comes with Insight and the admin elements. So the value in the construction industry, or even the oil and gas industry, is to connect people together and connect people to machine smarter, and even connect machines to machines, connect systems together. So this is a few examples that you can do with Autodesk Construction Cloud. So you will have one single location for all your project. It's design system agnostic, and a lot of actions like versioning is happening automatically. So all the design collaboration can happen in the platform. So all the review process, sending an information or a question can happen on the model itself, and you don't need to use any more, your mobile, your WhatsApp or whatever. Take a screenshot and put it in an email and ask the question. So you reduce the error. So all the model coordination can happen in ABC, Autodesk BIM Collaborate, and you can review any part of the project by pointing a specific location. Even you can even do it offline. So the platform has been designed, if you are in a location without internet connection, you can still do what you need to do, assign the information to anybody, and as soon as you get the bandwidth, you recover the bandwidth, it will synchronize automatically. So creating an issue, assigning it to anybody will basically secure the data during the project lifecycle, because a lot of people goes on they goes on vacation, some people goes on maternity leave or whatever, and you keep the project running in the right way. So scheduling is also part of it. You can import your schedule, you can extract whatever information you want to check what's happening. Change management, that change orders are always happening during the project, and you have smart tools to compare different versions together, either on 2D or on 3D, with a color code mentioning what has been modified, removed, or added. You basically can use any type of file format to iterate on a project. For example, on a PDF, you can quickly create a markup and send it to anybody, which empowers the field, because sometimes we have less information coming from the field, which is critical because this is where the final unit will happen. And you can nowadays have access to atmosphere explosive compliant tablets. This is really important for the oil and gas and petrochemical sector. And this is available for Android or iOS. And with ACC, you can build meaningful dashboards, track the construction progress with the color code. You can do it and extract information in real time. And you can digitize any type of report, inspection reports, quality, observation, commissioning reports. We have integration with digital signature systems like DocuSign. You can also digitize the safety and quality observation, which by experience and with the feedback from our customers are reducing dramatically the incident, the accident on site. Because with a photo and one click, you basically share this information to response team or the firefighters or the HR or whoever. So all the commissioning period that happens in a very strict way on an oil and gas field, and you need to secure the test and mention some information so you can again use a digital way to proceed based on all the deliverables that you compose, especially if you want to isolate a pipeline from the PNID, you can basically digitize that step. So all the commissioning and startup can be basically digitized, and the platform allows you to build interesting dashboards, for example, to benchmark multiple contractors on site together, or to build a risk management dashboard itself. So with all what you've seen from the ACC platform, plus the design tools, you can basically have an understanding of the AWP concept from the Autodesk approach, which is light and scalable. But before that, I just want to explain you what is the concept, especially for those who don't know AWP. But with all what you've seen before from Autodesk Construction Cloud, you can anticipate that the AWP approach from Autodesk will be scalable, deployable instantly. It's cloud-based, so accessible from any location. It's real-time, paperless, and industry standard compliant. Any industry standard can be compliant in there. And the platform is open, so you can bring any system in that journey, and it's design system agnostic. So it's not limited to Autodesk. You can bring Aveva data, Hexagon data, Bentley, whoever from their model. So AWP has some principles, but I just want to explain the concept itself. It's basically like the Russian dolls. So you will have the construction site itself, which is the biggest Russian doll, and then you will have a work breakdown structure of the model itself until the smallest Russian doll, which is an IWP, an installation work package. So what it means in your industry, so you will segment in a very logical approach all the areas, and you can drill down all these areas into one IWP, which is what you see here on the screen on green and yellow. And it's not only part of the BIM model. One IWP is equal to a single crew over a period of time. And this single crew is coming with all the documentation attached to this part of the model, this IWP. So you can imagine any type of document we will digitize so that you have all the information at the right time. You know, especially when you work on the commissioning phase, you are interacting with a lot of other disciplines. So Autodesk platform will help a lot to deploy that. From stage 0 to the operation, you can basically use Autodesk Construction Cloud, especially Autodesk Build and Docs, and we will see what BlackSmithSoft did, and they follow these key workflows. Is to have a collaboration into the design using smart workflows to connect the field to the engineering, to complete the commissioning in a digital way, and to get insight and analytics in order to reach excellence on the next project, because you can, with all this data, you can benchmark some phases of the project. So the Autodesk core of the platform will cover some of these stages, and we will also connect other systems through Autodesk Construction Cloud and the integration partners like Wakecap and BlackSmithSoft, which will show what they do, because we have a robust ecosystem of different stakeholders in the industry. Some of them are doing many things, and some of them are focused on data analytics. This is just a screenshot of who can connect on a plug and play way their systems to Autodesk Construction Cloud. And an AWP, if I want to let you a final information around AWP, it's like a Formula One pit stop. Everyone is coordinated, everyone has a task to do, everyone is prepared and ready. Someone will lift the car, someone will change the tire, and they all have one goal. So they have one goal, is to restart as quick as possible. And this is even more true in the oil and gas industry, because when you stop or you do a shutdown, 1 second can cost a lot of money. So that's it. And I hand over to Shehadeh Kassouf from BlackSmithSoft, who will explain you in details his scalable approach with their AWP deployment.
Thank you, Nabil. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm gonna actually go to the practical side of the AWP straight. So I will, thanks Nabil for talking about the theory. And now I will go to the practical side. So As a start, as we can see, we have all the stages that need to be covered in order to complete the project. And we as Blacksmiths in our platform, in coordination with the Autodesk, let's say, platform and the Forge and the Construction Cloud, we cover all of those stages. So we could be with you from stage 1, where you are doing your path of construction, you are preparing how to divide your project into construction work areas, and all the way to creating your level 3 schedule and how to detail it into installation work packages at a later stage. And based on our experience, we know exactly at every stage what are the important information that you need to pass to the next phase to ensure that you have a smooth handover later on. Now, AWP, I believe he already talked about it, Nabil. So this is just a small slide. We have also some of the key improvement that could happen to your site if you use AWP. So you will have a better safety, better quality. Also, you can finish your project earlier, and the total installation cost could be less than the anticipated. And definitely your site people will have a more productive turnover. Now, the intention here is, in the AWP is to give the people who do actually the job what they need. If we provide them, and I lived it myself in one of the projects in Kazakhstan, when you give the people what they need, they will do really a very good job. So they don't have to waste time finding their material or finding the tool and so on. So in order to get there, number one is we need to clearly pass to them when it is required. So in order to do so, we always start with a schedule. So I need to pick up my schedule, and I want the schedule to be directly linked to the detail of work that they are talking about. And accordingly, I can know when a certain activity needs to start and finish, and how much I need to finish every week in order to finish it on time. The other item is I want to know my packages. So the construction work area that Nabil mentioned and the construction work package, it's good to know where it is located, but also it's very important to know what document are required to build it. Do I have any information missing to get there? Any constraint? Is my procurement done? So in AWP term, are my PWP and EWP ready? And because if I release any construction work package where those requirements are not met, it will definitely be delay and cause disruption. Now, what is required? The second question. So now I know when it is required. What is required? It's very important when you pass the instruction to the people on site to be very precise. So don't tell him go and finish 20% of this, let's say, pipe rack. You have to tell him exactly, I want you to finish this bay, or I want you to finish the following spool with their number. Otherwise, you will not get an accurate result and what's expected. So this is here we provide the ability to drill down from the scheduling activity into the actual IWP. And in that specific IWP, we let them drill down to the actual item they need to build. And here from the color code, you know that when they are supposed to be done. So this is the dark blue is this week, the lighter blue is the next week, and the even lighter or greenish one is 2 weeks from now. Now I know what is required because I know exactly by name. Now, in order to complete this, what do I need? This is also very important. So as Nabil mentioned in one of his slides, he mentioned the 2D and the requirements. So they are summarized here. We need to make sure I don't have a constraint. I want my RFI or queries resolved. I want to know how to report the progress. What material do I need? Also, I want to make sure that I have the tool coordination, scaffolding, anything to be ready. What document do I need? And if there is any special instruction, I would like to be able to see it. So now we can see we have direct link to the documents. Also for the friendly checklist, this is also very important because we have a full history from our experience. Every type of activity, what sort of checklist is required, because we know if you miss any of these elements, you might delay the whole job. Material takeoff, I need also to have a link between this material takeoff and my storage. And when I press on this stage button, it go to my warehouse, check if the material is there, and I can book it and release it for that IWP as well. Also, I can check the history of my request for information. And by the way, this RFI and this constraint, they are all saved in the AutoCAD platform. So if you go to the ACC RFI or ACC build, you will see the RFI module. This is directly linked to it. And if you go to the ACC docs and you go to the issue module, this is directly linked to it. It adds another dimension of, history, traceability, all the power of Autodesk, let's say, is brought into these sort of follow-ups. Now, also we provide a scientific way to report the progress. This is very important because you need to be able, if you want to report, let's say, a foundation, I want him to report, did he do the excavation? Did he do the formwork? Did he do the rebar? And this applies to the rest. This is a way that if a person report it, I know exactly what's happening on site and I can measure it. Now, we covered what is needed. Let's see what is promised. So now when I meet with the people on site, okay, on a weekly meeting, they will promise me that, look, okay, I'm gonna install this pipe this week. This pipe I'm gonna bring from the storage area and put it in place. This one I'm gonna weld. This one I'm gonna, fit in place and tighten the bolt. So they're gonna give me those information. I need a way to capture those promises. And this is where our 3-week look ahead come into the picture. And as we are capturing these promises, we always see what is required by the schedule and what is actually being promised. So accordingly, I can know, like, for example, this guy promised to do 66 out of 93. It means he did not fulfill the schedule requirement. He needs to add more to his weekly target, otherwise we will be late. Now, after I do this, I can go to a look ahead schedule board, which will show me the overall project. I can filter it by construction work area, construction work package, and accordingly, I can see what the schedule wants me to do in blue, what did I promise in red, and how much I am doing in reality, what's the actual in green. Now, of course, reporting progress could be done through many ways. We integrate with QR code scanners. We integrate with mobile platform if you want to do it on the mobile. But from our experience, people always like the good old spreadsheet or the Excel approach. We can also allow you to do a comparison between the scanning or the 3D scanning and the actual model. Now, lately, with the introduction of LiDAR images to the iPhone and the new Android phone, this is very powerful because you can take these LiDAR images and we can render it and you can cross-check it with the actual models to see how the progress is happening. Also, for reporting the actual manpower, we integrate with Wakecap and we retrieve for you the actual manpower spent. And this one, if you divide it by the earned, you know how efficient your team is. Now, this is very important because when you get this picture, now in this case, your foreman cannot haphazardly give extra overtime for the team, because if he do this, it will affect his production, will be able to find it immediately. So it gives you better control over the site team. Now, after we check what he promised and he give us back and he report back, I want to see why, if for any reason he did not finish what he promised, I want to see why. And this is where we introduce what we call a reason code. And accordingly, we can put a reason code from a template and we can put any description, and this will keep a history of all of those. Now, the importance here is will come when we look at the status of the project life. So we can see just by looking at this table that if somebody is working out of sequence, it will pop up. If he promised and not fulfill his promises, it will pop up. If he is over committing, it will pop up. And if he is under committing, it will also pop up. We have a number of report and dashboard. It's a live S-curve. We can colorize the model based on many features like progress related, material status related type of material. So these colorization, you can set it yourself in any functionality you want. And we allow you to bring on your own data into the 3D model so that you can do the querying and coloring accordingly. This is what we call the skyline. This is very important for the people who work in the AWP universe, because this one will tell them what is the congestion and what is the weekly requirement. We can see here some open constraint report, open RFI. Now, whoever work in the AWP will understand the value of those report, because it tells us every one of those constraints, what is it affecting and in how many days. So we can know how many IWPs are being delayed because of this. Same apply to the RFIs. Now, because we have this history of data available at the finger tooltips, we can see that those guys can know what's the reason of delay. So for example, I know if my plants, by plants, I mean the actual machinery that I used to build. So if it is causing a big percentage of my delay, I know I have no good machinery. I need to look at the maintenance and so on. If, for example, the people themselves are not efficient, I need to check my human resource. So this will give me direction where I need to concentrate my effort. Here, for example, it's more by description, like equipment breakdown, non-secured access, missing hand tools, lack of manpower. So I can identify the reason of my problem and I can go and drill down to find out. This is also another item which we can get trend out of it. So for example, I can tell who are the people who over-promise, who are the people who under-promise. Like for example, this guy here, he promised around 1,200 man-hour and he completed 2,200. It means this guy, he promised too little. So next time when I'm dealing with him in the weekly meeting, I will ask him to commit to more. This guy, he promised a lot, but he do nothing. So maybe he is not an efficient person. So this gives me a good idea how to handle the various elements. Now, I believe we're done with the presentation. I would like to go straight to a mini demo, just so that you can see how this is happening live. So this is how the platform would look like. I can go to any construction work area here. If I go to the construction work area, I can see what are the list of construction work package within it. If any constraint are affecting it, I have the full list. If any RFI are affecting it, I have the list of RFI and I have the list of all the document required for this. And these documents, by the way, they are placed in the ACC platform. So if I press on the link here, it will open ACC for me. So it will go straight to the ACC. Now, in addition to this, I can go from here to any of the CWPs, and same applies to the CWPs. But now I want to go to an actual IWP just to show you. So let's pick up this, for example. If we look at this IWP, you see we remember how was the view lately. I can isolate. So these are the elements of the IWP. If you select any of those elements, you can just assign them to the IWP. So it will show you how to progress. You can select any element in here and say, okay, well, plan it for next week or the week after. And then after we do all of these planning, I can go to the look aheads. But before going there, I just want to show you that I have access to the document. I can even put a snapshot to give him additional explanation. And for people who still like to use what we call it, the PDF representation, I can always generate the same IWP in a PDF with the explanation and the various drawings. Now, if I go to the look ahead, now the look ahead will show me what every week I need to accomplish. This is in blue, how much I am committing. Now, let's say I don't want the whole project. I want specifically the person who's responsible for this IWP. I can press here and say apply. So this is what's happening. So this guy promised to finish a lot in this week while the schedule does not need him to finish all of this. So I can just drag and drop this and tell him, okay, do it next week, so that these two become close to each other. Now, if I go to the next week, it seems that the schedule wants him to do more. So maybe I can bring some activity from the previous week so that these will be closer to each other. So this gives you an idea how I can work interactively with the people on site to agree on what they need to do. And of course, any of these, if you need to go to the detail, I can just press back on the link here and it will open for me my actual IWP to know exactly what we are talking about. I can come here, for example, and say isolate, and this is the piece we are talking about. So I believe this is in summary what I wanted to share with you about how we approach AWP. And now I pass it back to Accentia if you would like to introduce someone else. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chef, for this great explanation. Thank you for everyone. By the way, I just want to remind you that if you have any questions, type them in the chat so that we can go back at them at the end of this webinar. So now I'd like to introduce Phil from the Wakecap team. As Che mentioned before, Wakecap also integrates with Autodesk Construction Cloud and with BlackSmithSoft AWP approach. So please, Phil, can you talk to us a little bit more about what you do at Wakecap?
Thank you very much, and thanks, Shad, for your introduction to Wakecap. It's good to see a technology solution collaborating and integrating with other technologies. And as I explained to you a little bit more about Wakecap, you'll see that that is part of our vision and focus as we move forward. So at Wakecap, the company was established in 2017 to provide the answer for job site digitization challenges that were always on the construction site. And the objective was to develop an emerging technology that would be an innovative focus on the development or the implementation for new and existing construction sites, a turnkey solution that would add value to the operation, to the operational excellence of the project. Wakecap developed its initial sensors to be an additional component of the hard hat that was, because the hard hat was recognized as an essential piece of equipment on the construction site. And today, Wakecap provides a range of hardware solutions that supports the adoption of the system in all workplace circumstances, and the development of sophisticated analytics tools to provide unique insights into job site activity. The Wakecap technology enables an IoT-based designed site solution to improve safety and to improve efficient productivity on the construction site. In fact, we have different teams working to further develop the Wakecap features for both safety and productivity. They're two key teams within our organization because they're different purposes on a construction site. And we're developing these tools for construction sites and manufacturing facilities, oil and gas, the oil and gas industry, and mining sites. Even if any of these projects are underground, like in a basement or in a mining facility. We enable a site network of integrated sensors to connect the job site with a proprietary wireless mesh network technology to capture data points of location in real time to provide an in-depth understanding of the site activity. And with this data, we're able to understand the insights of all activity on the site and create a knowledge database that supports many aspects of the site management. And you just heard Shahad explain how those data points are being utilized in the AWP or his AWP technologies. So each smart sensor is powered by a long life battery that for the sensor in the hard hat, this lasts for 12 to 18 months. And the knob that you see there is a replacement of the ratchet of the hard hat. And so we built the sensor into that hard hat. Alternatively, a Wakecap uses a fob for equipment tracking or areas where the hard hat isn't required. And you'll note that there's no wires. This is a wireless connection. There's no wires for the wearer. There's no need to be recharging the battery every night like some other solutions. It's no different than just wearing a standard hard hat. Now, with the wireless mesh network created on the construction site, we're able to identify the entire site, both indoor and outdoor, including underground basement areas and high-rise levels of the site. And as the site expands or new floors are added, we can simply scale the deployment by increasing the number of anchors that are on the site to expand the mesh network. It's this mesh network that our sensors connect to, and the network is only relevant to the zoned area, to the site itself. We're not tracking outside of the construction site, and this improves the degree of security and for the system. We have the capability to create customized zones throughout the site within the network and identified within our platform, our analysis platform, to identify productive zones or non-productive zones, as well as any other area that our client decides or designates as a region. So the deployment of the Wakecap solution is a very seamless process without interruption to the construction operations, providing a digital mapping of all operational activity, and the deployment of the system usually takes 2 to 3 days. And with that deployment of the site and the sensors connected to the network, we now have the capability to capture data points of location and time. And each data point, millions of data points every day are captured. And these data points are recorded to the cloud and then brought into our dashboard system to analyze the information to provide operational insights that are easily viewed and managed with a customized intelligence dashboard to track the performance of even the most complex sites. Now, I don't know what part of the world you're in, but some of the construction sites that we are seeing in Saudi Arabia today have 20 to 30,000 employees. Not many construction sites like that in the world, but some of the sites that we are involved with today have numerous employees on that site. And the bigger the site, the greater the employees, the more difficult it is to manage the people. It's interesting that during this webinar so far, we've heard a lot about technologies that support design and planning and the construction process. And the one area that is missed in the construction process is the management of people and the management of things on the site. I come from a construction background, and I know how difficult it is to know where everyone is at that particular time. And it's always a concern. I was on a construction site a few months ago, and I went to the very top floor, and on the top floor, there was no construction activity, but there was 30 workers all standing up there because they were out of sight, and there was nowhere to go, and there was no solution in place to monitor them. And so knowing where the workers are on site is very important. Shahad was talking there about active hours and non-active hours, and within the Wakecap system, I'm sure that information was coming from the data points of our system, because we are able to identify within the network active and non-active activity on the site from each of the workers. So this analysis supports the insights for the implementation of lean management controls, improving site safety, we'll talk a little bit more about shortly, and site productivity for greater efficiency and, more importantly, cost reduction. We haven't talked about cost reduction yet, but I'm sure that that's paramount in the contractor's mind. How do I reduce cost? And these technologies, while they have a cost, the return on the investment is there for the right technology and the right application. And I believe we'll be talking about that a little bit later on. The ability to validate results, that's like the comparison of yesterday's to today's, is a very powerful feature of the Wakecap solution. And the historical data is vital to understand what required to change the comparison of yesterday and today, or the comparison of the result today versus the plan. So often without this technology and without the look ahead that Shahad was talking about, and without the ability to see what's gone on yesterday in a digital platform, means that change may be implemented on a construction site, but days or weeks or months or many months later, once the result is there. In fact, the only way that a contractor often sees the result is in the completion of the part of the project. And then they look and they say, well, this should have taken 2 months and now we're already at 3 and 4 months. What happened? But they don't have any digital reference to refer back to, other than, if they have AWP or BIM implemented in the project, and now they have the opportunity to review what really happened with the manpower activity. So we can use the Wakecap solution to identify active and inactive workers. And this could be by a team or a gang, don't know what you call it in your region, but a gang of activity or a team. And it could be project or job specific analysis of data. Because we're zoning the site, we know what's going on in one zone, we know who's working in that zone. And so we're able to identify the time and the people's and the employees' activity associated to that process or project. With Wakecap, our customers have the means to measure the impact of their decisions in real time, and to see the positive and negative impacts of their labor movement, the logistics, scheduling, and time, all through a real-time analysis. The Wakecap solution reveals the real facts of site labor, time and activity, to provide a true comparison of the planned versus actual. This being the value that we have seen already with AWP and BIM integrations, many other integrations to come, I believe, to help you make informed data-supported decisions and to identify problematic patterns that you may never have known existed before, to help problems that may have impeded the job performance. It's quite surprising how many of our customers are surprised by seeing the lost hours just for their sign-on and sign-off activity, or the lost hours of people standing at the hoist waiting for the hoist to come. In one instance, a client identified that his employees, while they finished at 4 o'clock, would leave the floor at 3 o'clock just so that they wouldn't be delayed getting on the hoist. And they were able to implement controls that limited the time or reduced the time of waiting for the hoist. Other clients have rescheduled their time associated to the hoist usage. It's really quite a time-wasting element on a high-rise construction site, and one that's very important. By understanding this lost time or worker inactivity on the site, it's amazing just how our clients can put in place some measures to improve their productivity simply by implementing some very basic construction management controls. One of our customers is known for saying, knowing the true nature of the site activity provides the power to implement site optimization measures to ensure the right worker is at the right front at the right time for the right purpose. Now, I don't say it as good as him. He's got a really nice accent. Thank you, Miguel, for saying that. But he says it so well, and I've heard him say that quite often when making reference to Wakecap. Most construction professionals identify that transparency is a core requirement for project success, and the lack of transparency, and a lot of these technologies that we're talking about today, bring a higher level of transparency to the construction site. And so the lack of transparency at the site affects communication, quality, efficiency, and the general inability to gather true project facts to keep your project on track. That's not my statement. That is every contractor's statement. They know that lack of transparency causes these problems. And with the help of technologies like Wakecap today, we're hoping to bring some solutions, some support for this area of improved job site transparency to automatically capture project dynamics, analyze specific site projects or project stages, to understand site labor intensity, to identify time wasting activities like the sign-on and sign-off procedure and the hoist utilization we talked before, but also to improve subcontractor coordination. It's amazing how some of our clients just are able to immediately identify how many subcontractors are on site today. And this is a very interesting fact. And I will say, in the early stages of implementing Wakecap, some of our contractors were reluctant to implement it for subcontractor management. They'd keep it just for themselves. But by enforcing or requesting the subcontractor to be a user of the technology, gives the contractor a greater degree of understanding for the construction project. Also, for the owners of constructions of the project, it gives the owner a lot more confidence to know that the contractor is on the site, that the number of subcontractors promised to be on the site are there, and with the Wakecap system, they can quite easily see this. So with Wakecap, we can provide evidence to support site variations with documented analysis of hours worked or the real cost of project delay. That's a difficult point for some contractors to accept, because they have delays, and many of the project disputes are relevant to the amount of hours that were given to the variation that was concerned. But with Wakecap, we can provide documented evidence for the contractor that this was the number of active working hours associated to a particular variation. Some of the key functions of the Wakecap product include a productivity, of course. It's very important. And within the productivity, we monitor the daily production rates and quantities. We can chart daily production rates against targets, enforce allocation of the management, labor hours, cost tracking, project scheduling, and budgeting. It's amazing that by capturing the location and the time of each employee, that data can be utilized in so many ways. And while we have some basics, some standard reports that we utilize in our dashboard, we're also able to customize that data to generate specific reports for our clients. And quite often, I guess nearly on every project, there is a special request from the client. Can you give me this sort of report? And the answer is yes. If we have the data, we can generate the report. Timekeeping is another major function of the Wakecap solution. We talked earlier about the lost time in the sign-on and sign-off process. I saw a real report of a project in Dubai the other day that said that just the sign-on process and the sign-off process required 40 minutes every day just to get all the employees processed at the one time. And typically, those employees arrive at the site in a bus at the same time. And so there are some employees that are standing around waiting for 20 or 30 minutes just to get in, and that same number of minutes to get out of the construction site. What if they could just walk through and be identified by the Wakecap system? And so we continue to develop very key ways that we can capture the sign-on and sign-off that can be implemented into payroll systems and allow worker time to be processed. General time and attendance control is then reduced, or the management of that time is reduced. Less people are there to police the sign-on and sign-off or the checking process. So hours and productive hours in assigned zones is another area where we focus, but more so the assigned zones and the productive zones. And our system can identify if an employee is consistently in a non-productive zone. Well, there needs to be a reason for that. We can generate quite easily late arrival or early leave reports by employee or by team, or as you would require. One of the very interesting focuses for Wakecap is the management of safety. I said earlier that Wakecap was designed as a productive and safety tool. The analytics of the data that we capture is there, yes, to support productivity, but the hardware has also been developed to support improved safety on the construction site. Now, it might not be the case in all of the world, but there are some parts in the Middle East region where wearing a safety helmet is not as mandated as it is, say, in Australia or in the US. By implementing the Wakecap solution on the construction site, and because that sensor is built into the hard hat, it sort of gives a little bit more support to the contractor to enforce the requirements of wearing a safety helmet. And that in itself is a safety measure. But built into the hard hat is a small sensor that we can use to alert every worker wearing a helmet for the need for an emergency evacuation. And our system goes into hyperdrive at that point in time, alerting everyone. And we can utilize the system to identify who is in the marshalling zone or who is not, who is missing. And this can provide support to the contractor in those emergency situations. Our system is built with a temperature and humidity monitoring solution in each sensor, so we know what's going on the construction site. The system was built with a fall detection sensor. We're still working to roll out this solution. I believe that we're in the trial process now. But if an employee falls more than 1.5 meters, an alert can be sent to the safety officer, showing the location of the fall, and this can assist. The back of the helmet sensor is also equipped with a button. That orange button there can be pressed to alert or call the safety officer if there is need for their assistance. And so focus is a very strong safety for us. Our ability to coordinate the data that we're collecting and some of the hardware features that are built into the solution are really bringing some value to construction safety. We can only do what we can do, but as far as the technology is concerned, we're there to roll it out to continue to develop support for our clients throughout the industry. So we've already discussed integration of technology, and this is a real key of requirement today. And we have a very specific team that's just focused on integration of data. Shahad talked about the integration with AWP, and that just didn't happen. There has to be plugins, there has to be the right data fed and supported in that integration. Integration was my word for last year. I think collaboration is my word for 2023. But there is tremendous activity going on today in the technology sector, with organizations like Autodesk and Blacksmith and Asianta. They're really working to develop combined solutions for the contractor that will bring tremendous support now and in the future. Well, knowing what's happening on site at any given time has never really been so easy as it is with the Wakecap solution. And with real-time reporting, Wakecap provides the means to understand site progress with ease 24/7. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Phil, for explaining so well what Wakecap is doing, how all these technologies come together. And for the audience, thank you so much for your patience throughout the entire webinar. I know it's a lot of information to grasp, but we are recording this webinar so you can watch it as many times as you want. You can go to our website, look at more details about the companies. The message we want to make sure to give today is that we are here, we are collaborating. There are many solutions in the industry, and we know that sometimes as customers, it's overwhelming. You want to change, you want to adopt new processes and new technologies, but a common question is where to start, how to start, and that's where we at Accident are happy to help you, and that's why we're doing this webinar today. Without further ado, let me just share my screen one more time so we can start the wrap-up, Nabil and myself.
Yeah, Carolina, so here you have that slide showing some key workflows around the platform, the ACC platform, where BlackSmithSoft and Wakecap will pull initial data. And it's basically, I've shown it before, it's composed by those key workflows, 4 key workflows, so collaboration in design, and during the pre-construction connection to the field. So we remove the barrier of limiting the data coming from the field. Completion and commissioning. So all these key phases of the project will be fully digitized, and we get insight and analytics. And you could see some examples with BlackSmithSoft AWP implementation and Wakecap real-time monitoring feature. So in reality, what Autodesk Construction Cloud plus the ecosystem is helping is to fully digitize the project lifecycle. So you are moving from a stage where you need to reach information, you need to run to get data and different documents, to a state, to a way where everything is digitized, optimized, and coordinated in a sequence way. And for the AWP approach, you can see here there are some project execution methodology, which are you can access to the links that you see at the bottom of the screen from CII, the Construction Institute in North America. In RT 272 and 319, we have some methodologies and core project strategies and principles that we fit in with the Autodesk deployment. And there are also some information around the potential outcome, which are also identified in there. So you see 25% field productivity increase and 10% decrease in TIC for the total installation cost. And those are proven metrics. And you see also some other outcomes like meeting the schedule, delivering time, improve safety, huge reduction in accident records, the improvement of the quality, and also the gain in predictability for cost and schedule.
Thank you, Nabil. So what we're seeing here is basically a common understanding. We keep seeing these words, right? Schedule, safety, quality, how the different solutions, different technologies, and the improved processes can impact. So in this case, for the Autodesk approach for AWP, these are the numbers. But for example, for Wakecap, there's also 96% reduction in hours manually over-reported. So there is an adjustment there. An increase of attendance of workers in productive zones because they know they're being monitored, so they behave differently. Sometimes it's not all the technology, it's also how human behavior is altered because of the use of technology. So it's quite interesting to see how all the solutions come together. And as Phil was mentioning, yes, collaboration is super important. When we talk about Autodesk Construction Cloud to our clients, for example, we always highlight that, yes, the tools are great and they can do a lot, but it's all about that communication between the different stakeholders, the workflows that are put in place, the different statuses, and people need to be clear about what to do when. So when they are important, when an input from there is needed. We know that the construction industry and the energy industry are being disrupted because of new processes and new technology. So it's important to capture the value out of implementing all of this. Now I'll open the table if Phil wants to make an additional comment regarding these benefits, or Che regarding BlackSmithSoft approach to AWP before we continue with the last slides.
You're on mute, Phil.
Yeah, I was just saying that I love the way, I love your comment about the psychological approach to the implementation of technologies. We've seen our clients just implement Wakecap without doing anything, and there's been an improvement on the site, just by giving a little bit more focus. I mean, in the old days, we just had, stronger managers, working the site, or, micromanaging the employees. Well, some of the construction sites that we see are so big today that we just don't have that capability. And so we have, supervisors taking care of 20 guys, and is the supervisor actually doing his job? Are all 20 not working, And so that's the point. Yeah, very
Yes,
valid.
that's what I mean. The processes in the industry are being disrupted. So even if they wanted to micromanage, it's not possible to micromanage something that is new, that it's a new process that even, with the use of technology is changing. So it's more about the collaboration aspect, I would say, and accountability for each person. But that's why it's very important to have this digital transformation mindset or team mindset more than the previous way of doing things. Che, do you have any comment to add maybe before we continue?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Awesome. So just to highlight again the Autodesk and partners advantages, as we mentioned, Accienta, we are an Autodesk Gold partner, construction specialized, so we can support and implement Autodesk Construction Cloud. Why it's really important? Because Autodesk, as you know, is leader in BIM, in the quality of the data. It connects seamlessly with authoring tools like Nabil already showed from the AEC collection and more. There's a global presence and support, and trusted for digital twin. Now, when we talk about digital transformation, there are different stages from digitization to an actual transformation. It was all about going from 2D to 3D or BIM methodology in the beginning, and then it starts to move more towards BIM in the cloud, and we start seeing more collaboration tools like Autodesk Construction Cloud. And then it will continue until digital twin, which is the replica of a built asset in a digital environment, basically. And that's where different companies are at different stage. Don't be scared if you are still in the 2D or, but it's just a sign that you need to do something and you need to act fast, because other companies are already catching up with the new technologies and processes. Then when we talk about the digital twin maturity, we have different steps here, from descriptive to informative, predictive, comprehensive, and autonomous. It's just a general chart to show where the different solutions are going. Of course, this keeps changing because everyone is still developing and adding more functionality, but the more and more smart, let's say, or the data analytics evolve, the more it will go towards autonomous. When we talk about the digital twin, imagine the moment where you have actual smart systems connected to your building, and you have much more flexibility when it comes to operations and maintenance, which we know that's where the majority of the money are spent on the build projects, right? So it's important to capture the information through the different stages, but also have some feedback when the data is smarter. And then just to make sure that we use the right solution at the different stages, like Nabil previously mentioned, some examples of key products from the AEC collection that can be used, like Plan 3D or Navisworks for clash detection. Then the cloud collaboration aspect, in which we have BIM Collaborate Pro, Docs, Build, all part of Autodesk Construction Cloud. And again, even if it seems like a lot of information, always reach back to us and Autodesk, and we can explain which solution fits a certain workflow better. This is a summary, again, for the different stages, so preliminary design or for detailed design, or if you want to do coordination and visualization. But when we talk about the collaboration aspect, which is the Autodesk Construction Cloud, and how via Autodesk Platform Services, previously known as Forge, solutions like BlackSmithSoft and Wakecap can integrate in the entire environment and make it much more rich in terms of data, functionality, and much more. If anyone has a final comment, that would be great. And just this last slide is to talk again about the why now. Some people are still thinking why now. A lot of people are moving already, but our resources are scarce, and the construction industry utilizes a lot of water and produces a lot of waste, around 30%. These are all estimates, of course, and a lot of energy. So we need to make sure that we do something and try to improve our processes always. It's a continuous effort. maybe I can start with the Q&A for now. We actually have a question here, which is for both BlackSmithSoft and Wakecap. It's really interesting. It says, how can Wakecap capture the hours worked by a crew on AWP? I think it's because of what you previously shown, and can capture it. Plus, how can it tell if a member of a crew is working hard or not so hard? Is this possible? Is this something that may come up? What are your observations for this?
I'll talk about what we do, and I'm sure Shahid can add some comment. The Wakecap solution is designed to identify movement. So there is a data point of location sent to the sensor, from the sensor to the network, and we can track the movement. And so if that sensor is standing in one location for a long period of time, then we just know that that person is inactive. It could simply mean that the employee's taken his helmet off and put it on the ground, but then he's non-compliant because he's not wearing his helmet. And so we're able to identify movement and no movement. And it's because of this that we can identify what is active and what is not active. Alternatively, we can identify the zone. So within our system, employee ABC should be in zone 1 all morning. And we can upload that information to our system. And if he is in zone 1 every morning, we can use the plan, be in zone 1 all morning, with the actual report he was in zone 1 all morning. And so we know that he was there, but we also know that he was active because our system identifies if the employee is active or not active, if he's still. And so if he's not active, he just needs to explain himself, but at least you have information to ask the question. And without that information, you have no question to ask. And so this information, I mean, that's a very basic explanation as to what our system does, but it's the core. It's this core information that we provide to BlackSmithSoft for the comparison of the overall construction project, hundreds of employees and hundreds of minutes a day, with the overall plan associated to the project management. Shahad, do you have anything to add?
Yes, sure. Now, I would like to say for this specific question it's very important to define the process, and then we go to the technology. So in order to be able to know how many crew are working on a certain, I believe he wanted to say IWP here, on a certain IWP, we need first of all to define the process. So an IWP is a job of one crew. So I need to define this crew. Normally we assign it to the crew leader, the foreman or the charge hand. And the IDs of each one of those crew are actually identified for that specific leader. And accordingly, they are tied with the IWP. Now, the IWP, I know from the 3D model exactly where it should be. The data I receive from Wakecap, it's telling me at every point in time where each one of those ID or those crew members are actually located. And what we normally do is we take those 3D coordinates and we reference them to the model. So a person can view at the end of the day or at the end of the week where those crew members were located in comparison to that IWP. And accordingly, we can tell whether they are close, far. And as Phil mentioned, we can tell if they are moving or not, because I remember, like, any site you go to, you see one person doing the job and the rest are, standing like this and looking at him or observing him. This is very important information. You can see and identify well why the, let's say, trade welder is working now while the trade pipe fitter is doing nothing. So maybe you can also reorganize the process or try to make it, more laminar. So with this information, this is what we can do. I hope we answered the question.
Awesome. There is another question here also around Wakecap. It says, how do you measure actual work hours spent on a construction activity to compare to the plan? So I don't know if there is any application for that.
It's the same. I think it's the same. It's the same answer, really. We identify the worker plural, activity on site, when they started, when they finished their activity. So if they have, 8 hours a day and 6 hours of that day they're active, 2 hours they may be inactive. But we know they're on site for 8 hours. They're going to get paid for 8 hours. But what were they doing for those inactive 2 hours? Well, they might have been having lunch and having a bathroom break and all sorts of things. And that might be acceptable to the contractor. I don't think it would be acceptable to me, but I would expect a worker to be active more than that during the day. And so we can identify that information for the contractor activity, right? And so this could be, individual, or it could be for a group. It could be for the team associated to a project. So we have this ability to report individually or by any reference that you require.
Awesome, thank you. We have another interesting question.
I need to add up into this specific answer, because it talks about compare with the plan. Now, normally at the beginning of the project, we always receive people are using their budgeted values and they put the plan. He will say, okay, well, this job, I'm gonna finish it in 1 week. Now, at the end of the week, we go and see what was done, and we take the information from Wakecap to see exactly how much was spent. So if what was spent is more than what was budgeted, in the next trip or in the next time we want to plan, we advise the main contractor to utilize the actual instead of the budget. Otherwise, his schedule won't be realistic. And this is how we normally compare those two items. So you learn from history. When you learn from history, your future will be more predictable.
But that's a really interesting point, Chad, because you said in a week's time, we go back and see what's been done. Okay, so that's if it's done every week. Sometimes it's every 2 weeks or every month. Sometimes that inefficiency isn't recognized until a longer period of time. But what if the contractor could identify that information tomorrow or today? The amount of time that was spent in that zone today, was that the time allocated? And if that's incorrect, they either employ additional service support there, they more closely manage the employees that were allocated to that process. Why should we put in place the change management in 1 week's time or in 1 month's time when we can address it on a more real-time basis? And I know that we were working very closely on the DUT site, and we would regularly coordinate the results with the project management so that they could implement change immediately. And that's the value that technology is bringing, because it's this value that's being utilized to improve productivity and lower cost. That's because we're removing waste. It's not just about wasted energy, water, or materials. It's also about the wasted time that we have on the site. So yes, that's the valid point.
Yes, that's all. Time is the most valuable resource for all of us. I agree with that. There is another question. It says, can I extract the material list from my 2D or 3D drawing?
Okay, I can get that if you want, Nabil. Now, mainly if you are using Autodesk Takeoff, you can extract 2D and 3D material takeoff. You can organize it in a way that is compatible with your bill of quantity. You can add the norms, so accordingly you can do proper estimate of man-hour or cost, or even you can put some sort of template. Like, for example, if you are extracting, let's say, a concrete volume, it will tell you along with this how many kilograms of rebar you're gonna need, how many square meter of formwork you're gonna need. Even you can add the water into this one, and accordingly you can extract those data and get the information you need.
Yeah, in addition to that, Amal, thanks for the question. I think Shahad mentioned here a very in-depth and clever way to extract quantities to get meaningful information. But just to add on top of that, you can extract bill of materials, list, any type of list from multiple design tools from Autodesk at the design stage. I mean, from AutoCAD Plant, for example, or from Revit, or from Navisworks. You have the quantity takeoff in Navisworks, and of course in ACC. What is good with the platform is that you can also extract at the time, in real time, and also compare the previous version of the model and do some comparison on the list as well. So that's also another aspect of using a smart platform, because you can compare and benchmark also projects together, including list and bill of materials. Yeah.
Great. We have another question. Maybe this is at a higher level, but it says, are you encountering technology or methodology mandates by client entities in the region?
I can elaborate a bit on that, Shehade.
Sure.
So from the previous question and the analysis and comments of my colleagues here, we can understand that time is a real asset in any project, and we want to reduce waste. And as Phil said very well, we also focus on reducing waste in processes. Okay, in the project execution, it's not only the waste of materials. Okay, so because of this outcome, so reducing waste, increasing productivity, having more coordinated people, stakeholders in the project, some of those technologies and piece of methodologies are becoming mandated. Let's say, for example, the AWP for some of mega projects in the Middle East, in the oil and gas field, it's become mandated. So any contractors who wants to bid on such large projects, they will have to be compliant. And I would not be surprised if this become the same thing for IoT real-time monitoring systems like Wakecap is proposing. So yeah, I think that's what I can say.
Nabil, it is the case. We've seen several clients mandate a range of technologies to be implemented on their construction sites. I can think of two, one in particular to the oil and gas. Aramco are doing amazing things for the implementation of technology. Wakecap's working very closely with them on many, amazing number of sites. And tremendous stuff going on in Saudi Arabia in this area. And a lot of it's being driven by the need for technology. And some of the other major projects that are going on in Saudi are doing the same, NEOM and Gidea, where they're very, very keen to see that their contractors are doing everything possible to maintain productivity improvement, so that if they say it's going to take 1 year to build, the owner wants to know that it's really going to take 1 year to build, and not to wait until the 11th month to find out that it's going to be another 6 months, right? In the UAE, EMA are moving ahead with mandating specific technologies to be implemented on their site. So it's not just BIM or AWP. There are many other technologies that the owners are recognized. If we leave it just to the contractor, sometimes it doesn't happen. But if the owner of the project is recognizing this, then that's pushing forward with good results for technology and the implementation of good services.
Thank you. So I see another question here. Do your companies have provisions for affiliates to help introduce to construction brands beyond your zone? I think this question has to do like if we have presence in other regions, or how could we support. In terms of services, is possible anywhere. In terms of solutions like Wakecap, I don't know which regions you serve, Phil, if you can maybe just clarify.
I think maybe there's a reference here to do we have people in other territories?
Yes,
representing?
or if it's available there, let's say, like if someone wants to use Wakecap somewhere else.
Well, I can speak about Wakecap. We have offices in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, And in the US and the USA, North America, we are very active in those territories today. We don't look for agents as such in other regions, but if there are opportunities, we'll be there to help and work with you. So on a case-by-case basis, they would be.
From the services perspective, I think for Blacksmith and for us as Accienta, when we provide services, this is not limited to a geography, but it's also about the time zone and, you know, the types of standards that need to follow. One of the advantages that I want to mention actually about the types of services and software that BlackSmithSoft provides, they can generate a custom solution for clients based on the Forge and Autodesk Construction Cloud. So beyond what you saw about AWP today, which is great, also if there is any other possible solution that you're thinking of that is feasible, that you want to budget for, this is a conversation that it's possible. I don't know if Che, you want to add something on that? What do you do beyond AWP?
Yeah, I just would like to mention some few examples, like we work, for example, on a way to make sure that people have the latest drawing on site by adding automated QR code and allow people to scan it. We call this application Do Check. We have also the ability to do advanced search on top of ACC. So if you want to look for a specific document that's hard to find, you can use our Power Search to find it. On top of this, we have a number of implementation, like if you want, let's say, to synchronize both ACC and SharePoint, we can do that, and we did it. If you want, for example, to have some, some client is dictating, let's say, some, a cloud server and other which are in premise, and you would like to synchronize them together. Also, we did this before. When it comes to working with cloud and connectivity and so on, I believe we have quite a vast experience. We can provide this sort of custom solution for anybody who would require.
Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to make sure to highlight that beyond AWP. So, and now there's another question. If I am involved in a new project, do I have to use all the technologies presented today? How do I go about choosing the right one? So for this, again, we invite you to reach out, and based on your specific concerns, we can recommend you, different solutions like we have today, and what is best to start. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Che, Phil, Nabil, for today's presentation. It's been long, I know, for all attendees, so thank you for those that are still here with us. And I don't know if you have some last words you'd like to share with us.
Thank you all.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Carolina, Phil, and Shehade.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Reach out to us anytime.
Nice to get together. It's always interesting. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
And for those of you here, remember, we'll share the recording as well. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
See you. Bye.